Every now and then, as a golfer, when you're working on your golf swing, you're trying to improve, you're trying to get better, there's a lesson or an idea or a concept which is a bit of a eureka moment. And they kind of blow your mind and you think, why have I not thought of that before? And you go, that's the reason I'm not playing my best golf. So before we get started, this is the phenomenal drive range at the Montgomery at the Max Royale. Massive thank you to Golf Travel Centre for sorting this trip out. I'm here enjoying this weather, filming some content for you whilst the UK is cold and wet. So what is this video? Well, it's to do with how you move your hips to start down. Now, we all know that we've got to move weight to the lead side, but as we do that, we really don't want to start extending too early because that really throws out the delivery of the club. It makes strike difficult and we get those really stuck sort of downswing delivery positions where the impact looks pretty cramped. And many golfers are really struggling to kind of fix that and get it out of their game. Let me put an alignment stick through my belt loops, and you can do this with me. I'd love you to stand up and do this, or find a golf club and do something fairly similar. Now I'm going to take a setup to this golf ball. I'm going to remove the golf club for the moment. And as I stand here, I want you to visualize a clock face down on the ground. And we will have 12 o'clock as my target, which is that 100 board. And obviously we've got 1, 2, 3, 6, we're back towards the camera. Now from here, if I said to a golfer, okay, show me where impact is and what should your hips be doing from setup to impact? Most of them would say, at impact, my hips need to be forwards. And I would completely agree with that, and I'd say, show me what that's like. And they would move their hips forwards to show me impact. Where is forwards? Towards that 100 marker. What is that on the clock face? It's 12 o'clock. Perfect. No issues at all there. So hips going forwards gets us into our impact position. There's setup, there would be my impact. Hips forwards. That's possibly incorrect. Let me explain why. Let me make a backswing. What do we do in the backswing? We make a rotation, we turn. Look how much my hips have rotated. Now this will differ depending on the golfer. If you're a less flexible golfer, you might have more. If you're a young whippersnapper who's a lot younger than me, you might have a bit less, but we're all gonna have some hip rotation. So now, if you said to me, push your hips forwards, well, where's forwards to me? Well, forwards is down in this direction, because my hips have turned. So suddenly on my clock phase, you've got 12, 1, it's possibly kind of 2 o'clock. That's what I feel is forwards, because forwards is basically straight through this alignment stick. There's setup, there's the top of my backswing. So as we get to the top and we go, right, I've got to push my hips forwards, we start to get this. There's my forwards move, which feels correct, but it's actually out towards 2 o'clock. What's happening to my body? Well, my body is starting to stand up. I'm starting to get my lead shoulder to go too high. We start to really struggle with our rotation. We start to get these really horrible impacts. And it was all because our forwards changed. That's really, really key. So I don't want you to think about moving your hips forwards because it can be quite detrimental. You might fall into that trap. And many golfers do. And if you've seen yourself on camera early extend and stand up, this is so worth trying. Let's use that clock face reference again. We've got 12, so over here we've got sort of 11 and 10. And this is what I'd love you to do. I want you to think about this end of the alignment stick. This is the end that's closest to the target. It points at 12, and I'm gonna make a backswing. My goal now is to take this end of the alignment stick and push it forwards and back towards, let's say, 10 or 11 o'clock. To me, that feels like it's right over my left shoulder at this point. So what would that look like? It would look more like this, forwards and move it back over towards that 10 o'clock position. Now what we start to see is more rotation through the body, more rotation through the hips, much better maintenance, I should say, of the angles that we had at address, and the club suddenly falls into a perfect delivery position. Just look at these different movements here. This is the old move that many golfers do, forwards, forwards, that's not what we want, versus forward and back towards 10 o'clock. Completely different. Just look at where the club is. It's into the ideal delivery position. I've got my weight forwards, my hips have recentered, my body angles are much, much better. And from here, I'm in so much better position to get the handle forwards and hit the shot that I want. So no reason why I can't go ahead and hit shots like that. I've got this ball teed up. It will make it a little bit easier for me. Not a bad idea to do that. Forwards and 10 o'clock. And then from here, we can just go ahead and swing through and we get that ball going pretty much at my target. I've got two really simple drills that I'd love you to try because they're really going to help you get a better understanding of this concept. But before we do that, let's take a look at the great man Tiger. So we've put a line there for reference. We're going to move up to the top, and you'll notice that he stays in contact with that line throughout the backswing, and the camera angle here doesn't move, which makes this much easier for reference. And when he gets to the top, I'm actually going to put a line down the top of his lead thigh, so in here somewhere. And because his hips are rotated, he now doesn't move them in this forward direction. That would cause him to break away from that line like we've already explained. What he actually does is he makes, obviously, as you can imagine, a perfect movement in transition. And rather than actually stay on that line, he actually breaks through it. You can see there how he just pushes back through that line. He's moving his hips in this direction, so they're actually further back than when he started. And if you look at his left thigh, it pulls very, very quickly back away from that position into this almost squatted position that you've heard so many people talk about. He then maintains contact with that line all the way through, right down to contact. And this was probably him swinging at his very, very best. So that's a great visual for you to have in your mind. So 2 drills now, which are going to really help you feel and sense this. Let's show you the first one. Drill number 1, you need to find yourself a wall, and you're going to be thinking about the pockets on your trousers. So I'm going to have a back pocket on this side and a back pocket on this side. I'm very simply going to take my posture, I've got no golf club, and I'm going to shuffle back and just till I feel the wall. That's really important. The last thing I want to do is kind of stand here and just lean back and find the wall. So I'm just going to shuffle back until I can feel the wall. Now when I make my backswing, I'm going to take this pocket and I'm going to rotate it onto the wall, and I can feel that there. But in transition, the last thing I want to do is push both hips off the wall like we spoke about earlier in the video. What I actually want to do in transition is take that pocket on my left side, which I appreciate you can't see, and move that back onto the wall. So throughout this motion, from setup all the way through to here, I've been in contact with that wall. So we start on the wall, we go right pocket on the wall, left pocket on the wall, right pocket on the wall, left pocket on the wall. And that starts to get our hips, and it will get your hips moving in the correct way. So forwards being in this direction, not, as we spoke about previously, over here. Now the restriction here comes when we look at what Tiger did. We saw Tiger sort of breaking through that line. This will stop you doing that because the wall is obviously solid. So it's a great starting point. But the second sort of drill would be trying to create a little bit more of a dynamic movement and trying to create some more energy from the ground. So let me show you what that one is. So for this drill, you're going to find yourself a door like this one. I've opened it slightly. This door doesn't stay in place. I like to put a little bag behind it. But on this little exercise, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take your posture. You're going to shuffle back until you can feel that door. And this time, you're going to make a pretty, what you feel is a full speed kind of swing. So you're going to go backswing, transition all the way through to the finish. But on this little exercise, you're going to try and close the door. So remember what Tiger did in transition. His kind of hips went backwards further away from him than he was at the setup. This is going to help you sort of feel that. So as I sort of take a setup here in transition, I've got to rotate and close that door. So it should look a little bit like this. And you're going to go all the way through to a full finish. Okay, and there's my full finish. And you can see the door maybe didn't fully close because the bag was there, but you can see I pushed that door back. So what that's training me to do is it's training me to do kind of 3 things really. It's training me to use the ground better to get that sort of compression in the body. It's getting me to rotate my hips back towards where they came from. It's getting me to shift my hips towards the target, but it's getting that sequence correct. So going back to that clock face reference that we had right at the start, this is a great way for you to feel and train that, and you can do this anywhere, at home, in the office, or even at the drive range like I'm doing it here. As I said right at the start, for many golfers, when you do this little exercise, it might be one of those moments you go, that just makes so much sense. It feels so much better. Why have I been doing it wrong for the last X many years? And it's going to unlock some much, much better things. Strike is going to get better. Consistency is going to get better. You're going to start to control the face angle more because it's hard to control the face when the hands are flipping. It's much easier to control the face when we've got space and room and we rotate through. And I actually filmed a video maybe a month or 2 ago now about that trail arm in the golf swing. I'll link it in the corner here. That makes this so much better because as we make this movement, that trail arm gets into the right position. So the key message here is from the top of the backswing, you are not trying to bump your hips forwards. You're actually trying to move them back behind you and forwards. Think about where that will be on a clock face and you're going to start to hit some much, much better shots. So let me try and put that together. And again, pretty good. right over my target. The alignment stick is great, gives you that visual, but obviously you're not going to have that out on the course. So use the alignment stick to get the feels, get the ideas, and then just go ahead and build it into a golf swing. And that's 3 shots that are, well, I'm not going to say perfect, but pretty straight, well struck. And that's all because I had the right concepts, the right ideas, moved my hips well in transition. So don't think forwards, think back.